Did anything so great ever happen before? Was it ever heard of? Did people ever hear the voice of God speaking from the midst of the fire, as you did, and live? Did anything so great ever happen before? Was it ever heard of? Of course, Moses is speaking to the Israelites after the wonders they've seen of leaving Egypt, crossing the Red Sea, making their way through the desert. Of course, St. Dominic would have had those words on his lips, thinking about God become man, dying and then rising. Did anything so great ever happen before? Was it ever heard of? And it led him to only talk about God and to talk to God, as many authors and biographers write about him. St. Dominic was so consumed with God and this great mystery that it was the only thing he thought about and the only thing he talked about. Do we do the same? Of course, there are things in our life that we have to take care of and think about in order for our well-being that the Lord asks. But where is the Lord asking us to think about him and talk about him even more? St. Dominic, as I mentioned, was so consumed with preaching against the Albigensians, with those who denied the incarnation. Those, in so doing, who thought the body was bad, were practicing these very harsh ascetical practices, these intense fastings. And there were a group of Cistercians, right, Catholic, a different religious order, that were trying to convert the Albigensians as well. But them and some other priests were living this pompous life so that their preaching was ineffective. It wasn't even attractive to the Albigensians because there's so much on the other side of the spectrum. They were living an ascetical life, and these Catholic priests that were trying to tell them the truth were living so far over here in comfort. St. Dominic, who was so consumed with the Lord and the mystery before him, was able to leave all of the worldly things behind in such a way that imitated the apostles, that he could effectively preach to those that the Lord was sending him to. The Lord wants to bring us into an ever greater detachment, rather an ever greater attraction to himself, so that we can say constantly, did anything so great ever happen before? Was it ever heard of? And just be overwhelmed by this mystery and by this marvel of what the Lord has done for us, that we'd be willing to go wherever the Lord sends, that we'd be willing to give up whatever the Lord asks us to give up in order to serve him and to love him.